So the SEC spring meetings are getting underway this morning, and of course all eyes are on those two. Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher. Remember 2 weeks ago, Saban made the headline saying that Texas A&M bought every player on their team, and Jimbo, his former assistant, did not take kindly to it. Here's a reminder of how that went.
It's despicable that a reputable head coach could come out and say this when he doesn't get his way or things don't go his way. You can call me anything you want to call me. You ain't calling me a cheat. I don't cheat and I don't lie. So I learned that when I was a kid. If you did, the old man slapped you side of the head. Maybe somebody should have slapped him.
All right, so we all remember that. And here we go live to Destin, Florida, where Paul, I'm trying to think, Paul looks spectacular, by the way, and Heather also looks spectacular, the two of you. But Heather, I will start with you. So we've all been waiting, like, you know, what would you give to be a fly on the wall when these two are in the same room? Well, today it's going to happen, right? What are the flies on the wall going to hear?
Well, first of all, Greg Sankey told me yesterday that he has turned the page on this. I asked him if he is going to say anything to these coaches in the room about not having public spats, and he said that's not for me to broadcast. I'm told by a school spokesman that Jimbo Fisher will be here today. Sankey told me all coaches are going to be here for the mandatory meeting. Fisher will not be making any public comments today. But look, Greg Sankey said that he is ready to move on. We'll find out today if the coaches are ready to move on.
Well, that really is the question, Paul. Greg can be ready to move on. I certainly understand why he would want to. Do you have any sense of whether Jimbo is ready to move on or even close to that?
Well, he may not. Jimbo may be moving on, and Commissioner Sankey may, but we're not. There is a large gathering of media down here for one purpose, Greeny, and that's to see this show unfold in real time. And they will be sitting together in the same room. I am told by an SEC official it is alphabetical, so they'll have assigned seats. They will not be sitting next to each other, but it's almost impossible not to bump into each other. And for those watching around the country, these two used to be very close. Jimbo Fisher worked for Saban for many years. They maintained a relationship, at least on the surface, even though many deep down knew it was not very close. So I think it would be hard for Jimbo to remain quiet today, although I'm sure he's been told by the commissioner, keep your mouth shut.
Well, but Paul, again, for those around the country, and for anyone who doesn't know, Paul is as connected through his radio show and everything else to what happens in the SEC as literally any person alive. Some might wonder, the coach gets called out like that, right? Nick Saban publicly calls out Jimbo Fisher. He has to respond in kind. You know these men much better than most other people do. Was that Jimbo standing up for his program? Or how much of that was real and how much of that was the show that a coach has to put on when he's been questioned like this?
Greeny, I think with Jimbo Fisher, it is real. He's a very proud guy. Both he and Nick Saban are from West Virginia, and they take things like that very seriously. I think Saban wants to move on. I think Saban will admit privately that he made a mistake. He said something that in context was accurate, but it sounded very badly. Jimbo Fisher, I don't think, wants to move on because his fan base is behind him. He thinks this is a big moment for him. He stood up to the biggest bully. And not only has he stood up to the bully here, don't forget, last October, Jimbo Fisher beat Saban on a football field. He's the first assistant to ever do that. He called the shot a year ago at a touchdown club, so he's got a little gravitas going for him. And I don't think he wants to move on, but I think he'll follow the proper decorum today and tomorrow. But deep down, he likes this fight.
Quickly, two more things, Heather. One of them is there had been that conversation that I'd heard. Again, I've been traveling so much, but about the SEC possibly having a model where it creates its own playoff. Is that something we should be expecting to hear about this week?
Well, I asked Greg Sankey about that, and the first thing he said to me was, I never called it a playoff. I said, what is it? He said, well, it's about one of 47 models or so that we're talking about in regards to the future format. That is something they will absolutely talk about here. What is the SEC going to look like when Texas and Oklahoma eventually join? What will their divisions look like? Will they have divisions? That's something they could possibly vote on Friday. But as far as an actual SEC playoff, I have had people tell me privately there's no way Greg Sankey would do that. And there is a slim chance he would, though. And the only way people see that possible is if the 10 commissioners and Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick, who control the playoff, come up with a format that Sankey absolutely abhors, then he might say, okay, we're going to go do this. See you guys later.
Fair enough. And then one more quickly, Heather, do you agree with me that all America wants Paul to put his glasses back on? Do you want Paul to put his sunglasses back on?
I think Paul should not only put his sunglasses back on, I think he should be reporting from about 20 feet behind him. That would be very good television.
Paul, you look phenomenal. Both of you enjoy it down there. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.